Welcome back to Worldwide Chocolates Flight Club. I can't believe that summer is almost here, but we are only about a week away from the official start of summer. We have a great selection this month for June 2023, and we will be sailing around the world this time around to explore new chocolates. And while we are sailing out on the high seas, one important note: do not forget to bring your towel, because we're going to be seeing mermaids, we're going to be seeing splashes up on the deck. Maybe we'll go whale watching, but you never know what the great seas are going to have in store. To kick things off this month, we're going to be starting with a newer chocolate maker, Savvy Chocolate Co. We all know life is better under the seas, and this bar is a true whale of a time. Savvy Chocolate Co. is a newer chocolate maker out of Provo, Utah, and they have been scouring the seven seas to find the real treasure out there, which of course is high quality cocoa. All of the Savvy chocolates remind them of adventures on the seven seas, and to kick things off, we will be trying out their Mermaid Dragon Fruit White Chocolate Cheesecake chocolate bar. This chocolate is fruity and fresh, and it's all about celebrating good times. This is a unique cheesecake white chocolate recipe that is using real dragon fruit. Select Savvy Mermaid bars have a rainbow shine, which is reminiscent of mermaid scales, but overall this is quite a unique and decadent white chocolate bar. We will be continuing the mermaid theme, and I'm wearing this nice sun hat to keep the sun out of my face. I do not want to have to go back to my Irish roots and see sunburn after sunburn. So what I did was I actually brought some sunscreen, which, I'm more of a spray guy, so, spread it all around. Don't like spraying my face, but I forgot my other one. And just in case I let something slide and do get a sunburn, I got aloe on deck, and it's blue to keep in that nautical theme. And that just about wraps up our first feature this June, the Mermaid White Cheesecake Dragon Fruit Chocolate. Say that 10 times fast. And moving on to our next tasting this month, we had just tasted a chocolate out of Provo, Utah. It is the Mermaid Chocolate by Savvy, and we will now be tasting the Mermaid Chocolate by Antidote Chocolates. This is a 56% dark milk chocolate bar with seaweed and black sesame, and it is using Arriba Nacional cacao from Ecuador. It also is manufactured in Ecuador. This bar, when consuming, is like swimming into the deep and releasing your inner mermaid. I am a bit mermazed at this chocolate's kind of complexion. At first, I will admit I was a little hesitant seeing the inclusions, specifically of seaweed. Love sushi. Didn't know how well it would play with chocolate, but at first taste, I immediately fell in love, and this bar did not last long in my pantry. It is a fun and fruity bar. You will get some fruity notes, but that is actually coming from the cacao itself. This also has a low added sugar percentage, so it's not quite as sweet as the other milk chocolates you might be used to. The seaweed inclusion is a bit salty, and it kind of balances that semi-sweet milk chocolate, and the toasted black sesame really brings this all together. You will also note that on the back of this bar, it does indicate "Be a siren to your sailors." Sirens are another term for mermaids, and that will come into play very shortly. But before that, we do have a good clip from Antidote's founder and owner, Red Thalmer. She is absolutely incredible to work with, and we have a great clip of her speaking about how Antidote chocolate came to be, as well as a bit of her history in the industry. So let's take a look.
To know your roots is to create your own path. I grew up in a village in Austria's countryside, right next to the Danube, and my parents were running 3 different businesses, which my siblings and me had to work on from a very early age on. And come summertime, we would sometimes be 15 people, us and our extended family of aunts, uncles, cousins, and all working together to serve guests with food and drinks. So yes, it was a lot, but it was also a lot of fun in the spirit of hospitality and community. My mom was known for her cooking, and love was definitely served through food. As far as antidote, which is loaded with cacao. Cacao is also called the love molecule, which is a superfood with so many incredible benefits. And like one of them is it triggers massive endorphin release in the brain, which makes you feel like in love. Chocolate that loves you back.
Phenomenal content, and super thrilled to have Antidote Chocolate as part of our catalog. All of the Antidote chocolates are made from bean to bar in Ecuador and then brought to the US, and their infusions and inclusions are using local Ecuadorian ingredients. This is the type of chocolate that will get you locked up for taking, because the captain will have this in his personal stash. But that just about wraps up our Antidote feature this month, so we'll be moving on to our next tasting. This nautical theme has got me feeling pretty good, not gonna lie. So we are on to our third feature this month, which is an absolute treat. So we'd gone from Provo, sailed to Ecuador, and now we will be traveling up to Voiron, France. And we will be tasting a Chocolat Bonheur, a familiar face, although this is a new and limited edition 75% dark chocolate bar, single origin, the Philippines, which we have right here. And the bar name, Les Sirenes, or mermaids. So really keeping true to this, seafaring theme when it goes mermaid to mermaid to mermaid. But these are just absolutely stunning chocolates to kick off the summer. So let's dive into this chocolate. This chocolate has a pretty unique origin story. I'll give you a brief synopsis as it is covered on your in-flight pamphlet there. It was back in the early 1600s, a ship had wrecked. Basically, there was a shipwreck in and around the Philippines, and amongst their cargo was cocoa. The crew on the ship was actually saved by fishermen who were diving for pearls. However, the crew, not being from that region, was unaware that women were, a part of that pearl diving crew who were doing their own fishing, in a sense. These are the same women who rescued them, but because of their unfamiliarity with this gender occupation role back in the early 1600s, they did not believe it, and they were absolutely convinced that it was in fact mermaids that rescued them from their shipwreck. Once they kind of got their ducks in a row, they had set sail back to the Philippines, where they had planted more of these cocoa beans, and that is now a thriving crop. This bar is a tribute to those divers, because without them, the crew would not have been saved, and that cocoa would not have been planted, of which is used in the Philippines to grow and then produce chocolate with. The only ingredients in this bar are cocoa and sugar, and that creamy and smooth mouthfeel is coming strictly from their processing technique. As a collection, these three alone look pretty phenomenal, and you might need them to fan yourself with that strong summer heat coming, but don't do it too long in the heat. You don't want these chocolates melting. Alrighty, so next up for our fourth feature this month, we are sailing to Venezuela to get some Acumare cacao. So you'll see Venezuela here. And we will actually be going to Japan to collect some sea salt, of which is known to be some of the finest and purest sea salt in the world off their coastline, all of which will be processed and manufactured into chocolate in Orem, Utah. The cocoa is coming from Venezuela, as I just mentioned, and this is at a 55% cocoa content total, being a dark milk chocolate bar. It has the Japanese sea salt as well as cocoa nibs as the flavor infusions, and all of these components come together in an incredible harmony. We have discussed the owner, Art, who manages and produces these fine chocolates from Amano. Although this bar being new to our catalog, let's discuss a bit. So this bar did not come quickly, but it was a longer planned out process. Art knew he wanted to have some sort of sea salt infused bar, so he reached out to a gentleman named Mark Bitterman, and he is the owner and founder of Bitterman Salts, which is in essence just, a fine salt company procuring the finest and most unique salts around the world. The Japanese sea salt comes from the Pacific off of Japan, and what they're doing is they're pumping water from super deep levels off the coastline, which is more pure than what you'll see at surface level. And then once the water is pumped in, it is processed, evaporated, and you're left with sea salt. The cocoa nibs for this chocolate are coming from Ecuador, ties into Antidote, kind of a similar region. But all of these three, the Venezuelan cocoa to create the chocolate, Japanese sea salt, and the Ecuadorian nibs, are just a true treat. We also do have a great clip where you will get to meet Art, and he discusses a bit about Amano chocolates and what it is to make chocolate. He was actually a physicist that turned to a chocolate maker, and his story is actually pretty incredible. He's also won numerous global awards for various chocolates he's been producing, but I do have to note that the clip we are viewing is, decade and a half old. So some of the notes regarding other bean-to-bar chocolate makers in the U.S. outside of Amano are not fully up to date, but it is incredible content, so let's take a look.
I worked for the physics department at my university, and I always grew up building whatever I wanted to build. One day I thought, hey, it would be cool to make my own chocolate. And so I designed and built my own chocolate refiner and started making my own chocolate. My refiner went through a number of iterations, each time trying to perfect off of what I'd done before, trying to improve it. And after a while, it started creating really great chocolate. So then the challenge was, how good can I make it? And so then I set off a whole new direction and a whole new research project for me. And so, Amano is kind of the fruit of that effort. The things I love about the chocolate industry is there's no end to learning. You have to deal with the horticulture. You have to deal with the chemistry. You have to deal with the machinery. You have to deal with all sorts of aspects of the art of actually creating the chocolate. There's only about, I don't know, a dozen to 16 maybe actual chocolate makers in the United States. Of those, just virtually all of them are large industrial conglomerates, ADM, Cargill, Hershey's, Blomer, who makes for M&M Mars, and is kind of a back-end sort of company for a lot of other chocolate factories. The small chocolate industry was bought out during the 20s and 30s. So what we had to do is search the world for not just equipment that would get the job done, but equipment that would bring out the flavors that we were seeking to bring out. And then once the equipment was in, we had to refurbish it. And a lot of it's been heavily modified to bring out the sort of flavors that we wanted to bring out. Of course, it all starts on the plantation. These are cocoa pods. Inside of each cocoa pod is about 40 beans. Every plantation is different. Every farmer brings their own unique take to the chocolate world. It's something that's been ignored generally up until this point, but how the farmer actually grows the trees and how they process the beans. And every farmer has a slightly different technique, which allows you to have uniquely different flavors for every plantation.
Phenomenal folks to work with, and all things Amano are all things to love. To bring up some mid-video trivia, if you get this right, leave a comment and you'll earn yourself some free chocolate for next month. Who was the artist that had painted the Big Wave painting? If you know that answer, just leave a quick comment and you'll earn yourself some free chocolate for next month's package. But if not, just keep on enjoying that chocolate. That just about wraps up our Amano feature for this month, and we will be moving on to our next tasting. So now that we have tasted the Japanese sea salt and Cocoa Nibs Amano chocolate bar, we are going to a familiar face, but we have not tried this one out yet. What better way to continue this nautical and seafaring theme than including a bar from Dick Taylor Craft Chocolate. We've covered Dick Taylor numerous times in the past, and everything they put out is an absolute home run. This chocolate is a 72% dark chocolate bar, single origin San Barano, Madagascar, and this bar has a flavor inclusion of black fig. As discussed previously, Dick Taylor is spearheaded by Adam Dick and Dustin Taylor, both of which were boat makers in a past life, thus, boats on more than the majority of their packaging. And their 72% Madagascar on its own is absolutely phenomenal, but this infusion of black fig really brings it to that next level. The cocoa itself is actually coming from Bertil Åkesson's plantation in the San Barano Valley. We do have and have featured Åkesson's chocolate in previous Flight Club packages. It is known to be some of the consistently highest quality cacao in the world. The cocoa has natural citrus notes accompanied by fruits and nuts, and this is paired with dark, rich California Mission black figs. You can only imagine what the folks sailing on this ship were thinking. Probably something like, oh man, if we shipwreck, I hope mermaids save us. And then another chocolate maker 400 years from now will be inspired to create a chocolate bar named after this experience. Maybe not, but one can speculate. Their company is just absolutely outstanding. They have won numerous global awards for their various chocolate bars, and they are a bean to bar maker out of Eureka, California. We also do have a newer footage clip from Dick Taylor Chocolates. We have seen some in the past, but this is a quick look at behind the scenes of Dick Taylor Chocolate and some of their processing. So let's take a gander.
After learning about the new and growing American craft chocolate movement, we became fascinated with the challenge and loved the idea of reinventing the chocolate experience. In 2010, we bought some small-scale equipment and sourced the highest quality cacao we could find, committed to making chocolate with just two basic ingredients: cacao and cane sugar. Simple ingredients and careful control of the entire process allow us to fully express the wonderful flavor varieties of cocoa beans from around the world. We pay premiums to the farmers doing exceptional work from harvest to fermentation, then take great care once the cocoa beans arrive in our factory to build on their foundation, allowing people to taste an elegant and refined chocolate that reflects its origins.
Great footage and even better people to be working with. This is really making our June Flight Club come together, and again, I'm so thrilled that this collection came to be as it did. I do think this is our strongest Flight Club package since the get-go. So for all you still sticking with it, thank you, and I really hope you enjoyed this month. But we're not done without our in-flight treats. So this month for an in-flight treat, we have an assorted collection of Lake Champlain chocolate squares or Neapolitans. I guess having a doe, a deer, a female deer as their logo isn't quite as nautical as some of our other bars featured this month, but we've included 6 chocolates for you in this little collection. 2 pure milk chocolate, 2 dark chocolate with raspberry, and 2 dark chocolate with almond and sea salt. Don't be stealing chocolates or else you'll end up in shackles like myself, but fortunately for me, I'm not stealing chocolates. But this is a representation of what could happen. Don't forget your sun hats to keep that blaring sun off your, I guess, just off your head when you're sailing the 7 seas. And always bring sunscreen and aloe, just in case. We do have some great features in the coming months, so stay subscribed and stay tuned. But most of all, thank you for your time and subscription to our flight club. Until next month, you know the deal. As always, stay sweet, eat, sleep, breathe chocolate. Cheers.